What is happening, fam? It is your boy, the Sultanus, TV, the Ayatollah of Indica, a.k.a. the Bobby Fischer of BHO, a.k.a. Ned Sparks, a.k.a. Willie the Cool Penguin, a.k.a. President United Bakes of America, Donald Blunt, a.k.a. Abraham Lincoln, a.k.a. Benjamin Danklin, a.k.a. Lord Baltimore. And I'm here today with a brand new episode of the fucking #1 Canna podcast on the fucking face of this plane of existence. This stupid plane of existence in which we live. #1, baby. Woo! Sunday night. I'm fired up. It's like day 8. Well, first of all, if you're new here, welcome. Thank you. Thank you for coming to hang out. This is a good place for you if you're someone that likes to talk shit. If you're someone that thinks the world is going to hell in a handbasket. If you think that fucking liberals are fucking idiots. If you think that conservatives are fucking idiots. If you think that people are fucking people and they're gonna people, this is the place for you. If you have a body and ears and can hear this podcast, then this is for you. And so I'm glad that you're here. And for those of you who can't see me, who are listening audio only, you know, this is available on YouTube. You could see me looking sexy as hell wearing this Lord Baltimore 1 of 1 Patience Over Profits t-shirt alongside my Steve Zissou-esque beanie. It is standard issue. The interns do not get a Glock. Fortunately, I'm the leader of B-Team. If you don't know, I will take money from advertisers, but if they try to tell me what I can or cannot say or make me feel like I can or cannot say something, I'll tell them to fuck right off. This isn't something that is a main moneymaker for me, and even though I am nobody of any real relevance or importance, my traffic gets throttled like a motherfucker. So if you were to share this, that would be great. If you would send it to your friends, if you would maybe post it on your fucking TikTok or your Instagram or somewhere else. I'm not cool enough where people make cool viral clips of me. I don't do that. So I need you to, share it if you found some type of enjoyment out of this rant of this fucking podcast. If you didn't listen, if you're like, well, I'm not enjoying it. Okay, we'll go back to episode number 75, the episode before this. You can watch it on Spotify. You can watch it on YouTube. You can see it anywhere podcast. You can listen to it anywhere podcasts are played. Stitcher. Do you even know what Stitcher is? Me either. But you can listen to it there. I'm there, baby. We in there. I need to get my ass over to Rumble. They want to rumble. But you can listen to episode number 75. If you don't know, I fucking am a douchebag, and I do the 75 hard program a bunch, and I have. And so episode 75 had to be a good one, and god damn it, it was. I had Chad Rite, a.k.a. the Galileo of Goat Herders, a.k.a. the Unabomber of Ultra Running, a.k.a. the Babe Ruth of Breachers, a.k.a. Lore C. And it was a powerful episode, man. So I highly recommend that before you listen to this shit and make a judgment based on this being the first time you ever heard this shit, go back and listen to an episode with a dude who's a fucking badass. And me. I know you were thinking me, but Chad Wright, certified badass. That dude is a tough motherfucker, but he thinks I'm tough too. So you should probably go listen to it. Honestly, that was one of the most fun interviews I've gotten to do. I had definitely had some preparatory questions mapped out, things I wanted to talk about. I feel like we probably could have dove a little deeper on, but, I had a lot I wanted to ask the motherfucker. And I didn't know if I was ever going to ask him again. So, I'm hoping we will get another rock and roll in there at some point. But until then, we will be grateful for what the fuck we have. And you will be grateful for it. Because we're friends. And I appreciate when you fucking appreciate my shit. So go like it, go share it. That's one that you could definitely share with some people. Okay? And then maybe you go back into the archives and dig into some of the last 75 fucking episodes. Okay? I've had some interesting people on. I've been through a lot of eras of Lord Baltimore, and we're getting into some of the next phases, man. This is what I was supposed to do. You know, guys like Chad are the people that I should be interviewing, the type of caliber. I mean, that guy's been on some of the biggest podcasts on the planet, you know, and he believed in my mission so much that he was willing to take a few hours out of his day to come chill with us, and we goddamn appreciate it. We, meaning me and you, because without you, there is no me. You know, and even though I'm nowhere near the biggest podcast on the planet, that motherfucker believes in his mission enough to come, and if he can even impact one fucking human, you know, he's on it, and that's what he did. I mean, I've already had a bunch of people reach out to me and tell me they loved it. Honestly, it was very humbling. Some of the people that reached out to me that listened to it, it was really fucking cool, man. You know, I wanted to do something different, was able to. Very grateful for that. You know, this is a show that has some different formats. Sometimes I interview fucking people, whether it be my friends, which are some pretty rad fucking people, whether it be guys like Chad Wright, or cannabis company owners. I've interviewed hash maker, got another hash maker in the mix. Interviewed some people who were released by the Last Prisoner Project, which, if you're not familiar with the Last Prisoner Project, I highly recommend that you go and link up with them, catch up with them, and give them some fucking money, man, because Steffi Sheps, one of the nice, wonderful ladies that I interviewed, she is now like the head of that organization, and they are great. They are great. They really do a lot of great work, trying to help get people released for nonviolent cannabis crimes, right? That's what it is. You could probably support by going to thelastprisonerproject.com. I got linked up with them through District Cannabis. If you know DC, then you know. Actually, District Cannabis is a good friend of the Let's Talk About It podcast. Their founder, Ed Wiedenfeld, rest in peace. I'm pretty sure he's dead. If he's not, I'm going to feel like an asshole for telling him to rest in peace, and he's alive. Oh, Ed, I interviewed him. That might have been episode fucking like 13 or something. I think it's 13, Ed Wiedenfeld. What still, to date, one of the most listened to episodes of the Let's Talk About It podcast. Got kind of a RFK Jr. vibe with his voice. You got to kind of get used to it, but he's great, man. We had a great time. We were in his sleek DC office, puffing on runts out of the vape, you know, smoking some fucking runts out of a PAX 2. And that wasn't your daddy's runts. That wasn't some fucking PGR nugged fucking runts, which, not that I care, because I'm going to smoke that shit anyway. It was some fucking Bud Smith runts, man. He got to enjoy some Bud Smith runs. Shout out to the Bud Smith. It's my guy. Only guy I've ever seen make real runts. Rosin. He got the washer cut, baby. I wonder what happened to that. Maybe he doesn't even run it anymore. Makes me sad. Actually, I haven't heard him say that he has run it in quite some time now that I'm thinking about it. I'm going to have to reach out to him. Bud Smith, if you're listening, which you should be, goddammit, as a partner of the Let's Talk About It podcast, we need some Bud Smith runs. Plain and simple. If you had it, you were blessed. If you didn't, you fucking shit out of luck. You know, there's been a lot of flavors like that. The Mac 1, that's a staple. You know, and it comes at a certain level of quality. If it's not that level of quality, spot on. I can't fuck with it. He knows that, but he has never once steered me wrong with the Mac 1, baby. But yeah, rocking with Ed Wiedenfeld was really dope, man. He did a lot of stuff. He was not only the owner of District Cannabis, one of them. He was an advisor to Reagan. And we talked about having to come to grips with some of the stuff that he may have done or been a part of and involved in with that administration, without really knowing the facts. And I could tell almost that he felt some guilt over that because he gave up all his government clearances and his lawyer fucking, DOD lawyer shit when he got Parkinson's and started utilizing cannabis to help with his Parkinson's symptoms. So shout out to Ed, man. That's what life is about. That's what being human is about. Finding the error of our ways and making amends for that. And their company has been founded on a pretty high quality product, never overpriced in the marketplace. They give back to the community. Like I said, that's how I met up with Steffi Sheps and Natalia Wade from that were freed by the Last Prisoner Project. District Cannabis did some merch with them, brought them out. My girl Shannon from Evermore used to be with them, and her and their other marketing lady, they handled shit, linked them up with me, and we had a good old time. That's a great episode too. Check it out. I think that some of this stuff is important to think about because, before I get a little fired up with some of the shit I want to talk about tonight and some of the stuff that I've seen lately that's coming out, it's fucking frustrating as all hell. I think it's important to remember that there's a lot of people that are fucking waking up, man. And so while there's a lot of shit going on in the world, there are a lot of people every day waking up more and more. And that shit's important, So I know that I myself have been on a mission to do whatever I can to help people through this time by sharing my experience, strength, hope, what I've done, what actions I've taken, and how they can get on board, and I'll even help hold people accountable and whatever, right? My mission has totally changed over the last few years. Anybody that knew me before then can 100% see that. It was really hard for me just to focus on weed stuff with all this shit going on in the world and feeling like I had a voice and feeling like this is all shit that I've been studying and researching and looking up. That's why I get so frustrated when people talk about conspiracy theorists, this and that. It's like, motherfucker, first of all, you don't look at shit. You just go along with shit. You just hear what you hear on the mainstream media, which, for anybody who doesn't know, has been really fucking at least since the 70s, like, infiltrated by the CIA and other three-letter agencies. I mean, if you didn't know that guys like fucking Anderson Cooper are intelligence operatives, you're a fucking idiot, right? You have to understand, these people, right, you can't just get Joe Schmo in the room with the fucking leader of a foreign nation, right, or some high up diplomat from a foreign nation or whatever, right? You need some famous people. You need a guy he's a media personality, right? So he can get in the room. Shit like that. People don't understand that. They don't think about that. They didn't know fucking Anderson Cooper got paid millions of dollars by Pfizer. They don't think about this shit, man. But these people look at mainstream media, and that's like their main source of information. People and then call me a conspiracy theorist. It's like, bitch. First of all, especially on this COVID shit, I spent a lot of fucking time looking at shit. I had to use a lot of different resources. I use a lot of different tools. And the thing is, that people don't understand is I'm 35 years old. When I was 15, I had a history teacher, Mr. Jarrett. You can go listen to him in the episode Death Rules Everything Around Me from when he died not that long ago. Rest in peace to the fucking GOAT. My band Kill Whitey had a song about him. I played it on the episode, one of those, either that episode or the episode after. And Mr. Jarrett was my history teacher and also subsequently my African American studies teacher. He loved Kill Whitey, my band, and the song that we wrote about the government stealing his brain. And I don't want to harp on him too much, but I do still think it's really weird. So I like during the pandemic while my kid's mother was had moved out, uh I like looked him up on LinkedIn, found him, did some digging. I tried emailing him over the years a couple times from the email that he had back when I was in high school and never responded, or I never got it because I have 30,000 emails in my emails folder. You think I'm joking? I'm not joking. And I've used countless emails since, so who knows if he ever replied or when he replied or anything, right? I found him on fucking LinkedIn, found his website for the shit he was doing, gave him a call, got in touch with this motherfucker, right? After damn near 20 years not talk. Well, at the time it was fucking like 16 years or something. After 17 years, fucking, long time not talking to this motherfucker. And he's one of 3 teachers that had a profound impact on me throughout my school career, I guess you call that, my school time. See, Mr. Jarrett, his big thing was always look for truth, always look for knowledge. Those 2 things, knowledge and truth. He said there's going to be a lot of things that they use to distract people. And when I talked to him, man, it was like just catching up and talking to him about these things that he had said fucking damn near 20 years ago that were fucking coming true, shit that was already true then that was being revealed in during the pandemic. And I've spent a lot of time thinking about the shit that he talked about, because he would always tell us, look, if y'all do what we're supposed to do here and learn this bullshit, I'll teach you the real shit, or I'll give you some nuggets and you can go learn the real shit. And so he'd just be like dropping nuggets, and when I tell you this motherfucker was special, I went to his, I thought him and I had a really tight relationship. I thought him and I, we were like that. And when I went to his funeral, there was fucking probably 150, 200 people that all had the same relationship. And I'm sure there were thousands more over the last 30 years of this motherfucker being a teacher. And it was just so weird the way he died, too. He definitely didn't get the vaccine. Definitely didn't do that. Unless he did, which I don't think he did. Because when we talked, he said, if they mandate that shit, it's over. I'm done. Apparently he was sick, called out. Well, that was a wrap. But when he was telling us this stuff, when he was dropping these gems back in early 2000s, 03, 04, when I was still in high school, this motherfucker, you have to remember, first of all, that's 20 years in the conspiracy game. 20 years of looking up shit about what the CIA is doing, about what the fucking media is doing, about fucking the New World Order and secret societies and fucking 9/11 and fucking Pearl Harbor being fucking faked and the Gulf of Tonkin being faked and fucking just all this shit we're taught about being a fucking lie. And back then, when you would look shit up on fucking Bing and Ask Jeeves and Google, these search engines, we're talking about unfettered, unfiltered, uncensored internet. We're talking about Web 1, baby. We're talking about you could find anything and everything on there. The government wasn't thinking about that shit. They don't care. They didn't have their hands in it the way they have in it now. So when he'd be like, look it up. Beatles mind control project. He'd be like, CIA plus Beatles plus mind control. You look it up, there's all this shit about how the Beatles were used as a form of fucking mind control. And then you start seeing how these same mentality and they run these same plays over and over and over again. So when they're doing COVID, right, it's like, just because we haven't seen, it was so shoved in our faces, we didn't have social media, whatever, and it was limited, but my mom is a infection control practitioner, nurse. And so she'd be freaking out about every single fucking pandemic every 2 years, 4 years. And when she would, I'd just fucking laugh at her. I'm like, geez, Mom, calm down. How many Ebola patients? One? All right. The Zika virus is worse than the flu, but it's the flu. Okay. And it's like always on election years. So like looking this shit up and going through this shit for years and years. I read Behold a Pale Horse when I was like 19. High as fucking all hell. The uncensored version too, with that extra, I think it's 15th chapter about the fucking Zionist occupied government. Like it's just so fucking demoralizing when people want to say like all this fucking time spent, all this fucking these hundreds of hours that you've spent poring over books, reading different shit, searching for shit, hours-long lectures, reading FOIA fucking paperwork, fucking looking at studies by somebody who hasn't fucking done anything. By somebody who thinks the terrorists hate our freedom. By somebody who thinks that fucking, anything that this Gaza-Israel shit isn't about fucking oil. This shit is fucking ridiculous, dude. And here we are. I got a couple articles. You already know I want to dive into some shit. Let's fucking get after it, man. I got a couple articles here. Where is it? So I saw a post, and it actually led me to another one. That CDC director issues a new COVID alert, urges Americans to wear masks. Here we go. Now, Gateway Pundit, take them for what they are. I don't know. Whatever. Must be election season. CDC Director Dr. Mandy Cohen issued a new alert for the COVID Pirola variant. Quote, respiratory viruses commonly cause illnesses such as flu, COVID-19, and respiratory syncytial virus, RSV, especially in the fall and winter. Hold up. RSV's been around forever. When have you ever heard them talking about it? When have you ever heard them talking about RSV? Not since this COVID shit, man. Well, I guess only since this COVID shit. They're trying to fucking scare you, pump more vaccines. Not only are you at risk now for the COVID, which is coronavirus. So coronavirus we know is the cold. So it's the same thing. We'll cross one of those out. We'll say coldvid. You got coldvid. You got the flu. It's also, actually more of a healing response. Probably to the free radicals and due to the lack of vitamin D that you're getting. And the lack of zinc, which can, be a cause for a loss of smell and taste. Especially in the fall and winter. There are actions you can take to protect yourself and others. No one else's immune system is your responsibility. Just a reminder. Learn about how to reduce your risk of getting sick from these viruses. And if they are spreading in your community, the CDC stated. CDC issued an updated COVID alert on Friday. JN1, a variant of the virus that causes COVID-19, is a closely related offshoot of the variant BA.2.86. What the fuck, dude? Go back to, Greek letters. At least, we understand those. They sound fun. Delta, Omicron. Isn't Omicron the place where those, dino aliens, the Cyclops aliens from The Simpsons, aren't they from Omicron, Percy Omicron 1 or something? The variant B.2.86 that the CDC has been tracking since August, JN.1, is currently projected to comprise 15 to 29% of circulating variants and continues to grow quickly compared with other variants. It continues to grow quickly compared with other variants? Wasn't Omicron like a super spreader? Everybody was getting it? Wasn't fucking Delta super fucking contagious? They all, just think about this shit, man. Use your fucking brain. Please, man, use your fucking brain. Its continued growth suggests that it's either more transmissible or better at evading our immune systems. Yeah, well, maybe your immune systems would be working well if you didn't stop. You didn't stop going to the gym, if you didn't stop fucking eating healthy foods, if you didn't. Chill out, Elliot. Chill out. At this time, there is no evidence that JN.1 presents an increased risk to the public health relative to other currently circulating variants, and the CDC is closely monitoring COVID-19 activity in the JN.1 spread. So they're trying to make you afraid, but then they're like, nah, it's not a big deal. Which is it, dude? Softly conflicting advice here, CDC. The increase of this variant does not alter CDC's COVID-19 recommendations, meaning that vaccines, tests, and treatments continue to work well against JN.1. Do they, though? Do they continue to work well against JN.1? Did they work well in the first place? Huh? Because to the best of my knowledge, the masks literally do nothing. Nothing. And if they do something, it's so minimal that it doesn't fucking matter. We know that these shots are not fucking good for you, dude. They are not fucking good, and we'll get more into that in a second. But all this shit, they know people aren't getting that shit, and so they're trying to fucking pump it up. Because look, the CDC director, Cohen, says that the flu and RSV cases are up. RSV, baby. Be fucking scared, dude. Now you gotta be scared of RSV, too. Look out. You got COVID, you got RSV and the flu. And they're all coming. Bad boys, bad boys. What you want? What you want? It's the bad boys of illness. And COVID is starting to increase again after being stable for the past few weeks. It was unstable? Were people fucking getting COVID? I don't know. People still say it. People still, I took a test, I have COVID. We're also seeing increases in pneumonia. Oh. You know why? It might be fucking a bacterial infection pneumonia that you got from wearing the fucking masks and breathing in your own shit all fucking day. Which can increase this time of year. She continued, to protect yourself this holiday season, take the steps that we do every year to protect ourselves. Get your updated COVID vaccine and flu vaccine and your RSV vaccine if you're over 60. Mandy Cohen advised people to wear masks and use additional layers of protection like avoiding people who are sick, washing your hands, improving ventilation, and wearing a mask, she said. Can you see how hard I'm fucking rolling my eyes right now? It's a lot, I look at this shit, and it just makes me sick. Because I'm like, I talked to one guy yesterday, he's like, yeah, I don't like to roll at the gym when I'm not feeling good. And I feel fine, but I'm not feeling good. I wasn't feeling good a couple days ago, so I haven't been in 2 weeks. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? One of the fucking black belts today was like, I'm not rolling because I know I got sick yesterday. A guy was in my face. You know you got sick? You do? You don't feel sick, but you know you got sick? How does that work? People's neurosis these days, I guess, is fucking through the roof. But when I was I was actually looking up trying to find that CDC article, and I was looking it up, and I was just like perusing just to see, because I had to dig around and scroll around and use different browsers and go through the whole rigmarole, in which I do. And I found another one directly from the CDC, talking about CDC and FDA expedite the availability of additional doses of the new RSV immunization for infants. Like, what in the fuck are we doing here, dude? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? We're just literally pumping people full of all sorts of shit. This one, CDC announced the release of more than 70,000 fucking additional doses of Beyfortus, a long-acting monoclonal antibody designed to protect infants against severe respiratory fucking syncytial disease. Disease? Is it a disease? What makes it a disease? Because I know, what's the fucking, the definition in NA, they talk about a disease as something fucking chronic and fucking fatal if untreated. RSV that's not the case. COVID, that's not the case. You can literally do nothing and be fine. Infants don't really even die of RSV. What are we doing, dude? They'll be in close contact. I'm not going to read the whole article, but additional doses distributed immediately. Physicians through the Vaccines for Children program and commercial channels. Commercial channels. For people who don't know, the U.S. government pays a very, very high premium for vaccines. You would think that when you order 80,000 doses, you would get like a deal. You know, like your local weed man will give you a deal if you buy an ounce. Fucking the U.S. government's like, you guys want $10 a dose? We'll take them by 20. They're like, we're fine with $10 a dose. The government's, playing hardball, I see. Fine, $30 a dose and not a penny more. They're like, really, U.S. government? We're good. We're good. You said 30? All right. The U.S. government goes and tells them, all right, it's taxpayer money, so we don't really care. We'll pay you $40 a dose. And then the fucking pharmaceutical company is like, hey, any of your people need a job when you get out of the government, you give us a call. You give us a call. You give us a call. Shit, we saw that with Purdue Pharma. CDC are committed to expanding access to important immunizations so more parents have peace of mind during the winter virus season. There's no such thing as a virus season. That's not real. It is not a season for viruses. Typically, people are just inside more because it's winter. You're not getting vitamin D. Get some fucking vitamin. Go on firstform.com/ElliotAces and fucking you'll get free shipping. Get some vitamin D3 liposomal and get you some other stuff too. But right now, we're talking about vitamin D3. Get it. Overdose on it. Take a bunch of it. You want to fucking have peace of mind? Don't fucking be so neurotic. Helping ensure availability of this preventative option can reduce the impact of RSV disease. I hate that they keep saying it's a disease. It's not a fucking disease. RSV is not a disease, and none of these are diseases. It's not a disease. Been engaged with groups such as the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists to encourage more doctors to use the RSV maternal vaccine, which can ensure babies are protected against RSV before they're even born. So what they're saying is, hey, we're donating a bunch of bread to the colleges where these people are being indoctrinated, and we want them to be indoctrinated with our message that if they take the RSV vaccine while they're pregnant, it's going to be good for them and good for the baby. You don't want that baby to get RSV, do you? Even though he's got a fucking super strong immune system coming through your fucking tits. That's how babies work. It's science. Don't fucking blame me. And not if you're one of those trans people taking all those synthetic hormones with a weird yellowy milky substance. That's not milk. That's not natural. Additionally, they've been they would ensure they're protected. Moreover, the CDC has been in regular contact with clinicians across the country, encouraging them to prioritize, I don't even know what this, near severe ALP for infants at highest risk during this period of constrained supply. That list includes young infants up to 6 months old and American Indian and Alaska Native infants, among other groups. Cheese and rice. This is nuts, dude. But yeah, so that was, to me, what that's saying is that all this shit is just really about pumping you full of more shit and everyone, but while you suffer, everyone else in these high-level government positions and in this pharmaceutical industry are just fucking raking in cash. But actually, the common cold can be very dangerous, according to a new study, a chilling find. Even it's chilling, and this is coming from the Sun, UK edition. Do they have a US version? The common cold can trigger a killer blood clot disorder, scientists discover for the first time. We all know how miserable the common cold can be, but now scientists are warning you that your seasonal sniffles could trigger a fatal complication. For the first time, scientists at the University of North Carolina have found a link between a life-threatening blood clotting disorder and an adenovirus infection. Adenovirus is one of the most common respiratory issues affecting both adults and children, causing cold and flu-like symptoms. Oh God. COVID, flu, RSV, pneumonia, adenovirus, fucking strep throat. Get fucking scared, dude. You not scared? I'm scared. If you're not scared, you better fucking get scared. Viral infections, as well as autoimmune diseases and other conditions, can cause levels of platelets in the blood to drop, known as thrombocytopenia. Platelets or thrombocytes are a vital part of the blood responsible for forming blood clots, which stop you from bleeding out when you're injured. This adenovirus-associated disorder is now one of 4 recognized anti-PF4 disorders, said Dr. Stephen Mole, professor of medicine at the university's Department of Medicine's Division of Hematology, said. We hope that our findings will lead to earlier diagnosis, appropriate and optimized treatment, and better outcomes in patients who develop this life-threatening disorder. The latest findings published in the New England Journal of Medicine sheds new light on how the virus can play a role in causing an anti-platelet factor IV disorder. The discovery paves the way for new avenues of research to understand why and how this condition occurs. Well, I have a guess. Do you? What are anti-PF4 disorders? Antibodies are large proteins, blah, 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 that stick to the surface of bacteria, viruses, and other foreign invaders, highlighting them for destruction by immune system. Anti-PF4 disorders, a person's immune system mistakenly creates antibodies that target the PF4 protein, which is released by platelets. It can trigger a chain reaction that results in the platelets being destroyed by the immune system, causing excessive blood clotting and a drop in platelet levels. In some cases, anti-PF4 antibodies are triggered by a patient taking an anticoagulant drug called heparin-induced thrombocytopenia. In other cases where a person hasn't taken heparin, it's known as spontaneous hit. In this last 3 years, a small number of cases of thrombocytopenia have been linked to specific COVID-19 jabs. They said it, baby. They said it. Yeah, I was wondering if you guys were thinking. They said it. Clearing it right up. Distinct from these, in the last 3 years, a small number of cases of thrombocytopenia have been linked to specific COVID-19 jabs, distinct from those produced by Moderna and Pfizer. That's kind of weird. This condition is called vaccine-induced immune thrombotic thrombocytopenia. This is a fucking tongue twister. And so what they're saying is that Moderna and Pfizer jabs are being linked to this thrombocytopenia. So sounds like the jab is fucking with your immune system, causing it to not cause these PF4s, or doing this anti-PF4 fucking platelet thing and clotting up the blood. And, let's dive deeper. Let's keep going. To understand the condition better, researchers looked at a 5-year-old boy who was previously diagnosed with an adenovirus infection and was hospitalized with severe blood clot in his brain and significantly reduced platelet levels. Doctors noted he hadn't been taking heparin or had a COVID vaccine. Interesting. The intensive care unit physicians, the neurointensivists, and hematology group were working around the clock to determine the next steps of care for this young boy. He wasn't responding to therapy and was progressing quickly. We have questioned whether it would have been linked to his adenovirus considering the vaccine data, but there was nothing in the literature at that time to suggest it. The results showed the boy had an antibody typically associated with HIT. It followed a similar case reported in Richmond, Virginia, where another patient with an adenovirus infection was found to have had multiple blood clots, a stroke, heart attack, DVT, as well as severe thrombocytopenia. Like the little boy, hadn't been exposed to heparin or a COVID jab. Interesting. I don't know if I necessarily believe that, but that's what it says. I feel like I need to dive deeper. I didn't even look into that one beforehand. But either way, it's pretty crazy to think. It's just, they say they didn't have a COVID jab, but I mean, it's kind of interesting that the guy had like a stroke, blood clots, heart attack, DVT, whole nine, like a whole array of like heart destroying situations, and that was it. You know, he didn't have a vaccine, him or the kid, but they found some, and that's what made him think about it. Okay, I don't know. Hey, like I don't know. So it could be legit, maybe not. But these are just like things that I see, that I think about, and you know, it can be difficult. There is an element of having to draw some of your own conclusions, right? And try and look at things from a bigger perspective, like a wider eye view, because they want you to be bogged down in the little day to day, just getting emotional and easy to control every day. Something new. Every day, something new. Every day, something to demoralize you more. Right? That's what this is about. They want to demoralize us to the point that like shit gets so bad to where we welcome whatever fucking bullshit they bring us in next, try to usher in next. You know, which is going to be fucking loss of private property, loss of cars. I mean, it's going to be far worse than where we're headed, you know, if we keep headed in this direction. You know, like I said earlier, I believe that we're in an era where there will be some great awakenings, but it almost has to go down this way, because what are you going to do? Show somebody some documentary? And I mean, yeah, you can watch Agenda 1 and Agenda 2, which if you're like new to trying to understand what some of the bigger picture stuff is happening and what some of these major players and people who can run shit are doing, saying, talking about, right? You can watch Agenda 1 and Agenda 2, and that'll give you a really great place to start. It'll give you a great overview on kind of what's happening. Both are available on Amazon. You can fucking, or fucking Agenda 1 documentary or something like that, agendadocumentary.com. You can find it. It's easy if you want to find it. If you're like, well, what the fuck is going on with Bill Gates and the WEF and this totalitarian agenda of taking over the United States? And remember, if the United States falls, everywhere falls. You know, I've been a fucking little punk piece of shit my whole life. And it's just like, it's crazy to me. So many homies from that realm and that time of my life all just fucking fell right in line. Like, it blew me the fuck away, to be honest. You know, and it's always been in my blood to ask why. It's always been in my blood to question shit and not just fucking do what I'm told. Can I do what I'm told? Yes. When that shit makes sense. When I fucking, when you can explain why we need to do it that way. Goddamn. You know, but as soon as somebody starts fucking saying you gotta take this and you gotta take that, and literally some of my earliest memories in life are getting fucking vaccines, hell no. And I'm 100% in agreement with you. That is my shit, but, God damn it. I was right. So, last headline for the evening before I get out of here. Something I thought is interesting, and I know I've spoken about it before, and I'm so mad that I've lost my phone going 100 miles an hour down fucking 97, and my phone flew out of my fucking pocket. Because I had the footage from the first protest, from the George Floyd protest. That Friday night, I went downtown Baltimore, and I got there. I went down to Colta, got some smoke, was burning down at the harbor, and went over by like the Black Israelites, listen to them fucking argue with people about religion and, how white people suck. And sat down kind of near them, close enough, and I just started kind of watching. Because it was like 6:30 or something. People were supposed to start meeting, or 6 or 7, something like that. And I just started seeing people show up, right? There's some people with some signs that look like what you would think. Then I see some other people just kind of floating around. like not directly in the main little center area where people are starting to congregate, but just like on the bleachers over here, on a bench over here. And I mean, it's like, hello, these are like Baltimore City cops. Like, they look like cops. And so I just keep my eyes open, and there's a couple cops on bikes as well. Finally, enough people congregate, start moving. I got my phone out. I'm like just recording what I'm seeing, what I'm talking about. And literally every intersection, all the people run out to the middle of the road. There's a guy waving a BLM flag. Somebody with a camera taking photos. You could probably look them up online. BLM fucking Baltimore pictures. Fucking George Floyd 2020. And it's, it was like, it just felt like a photo op. And when that was happening, it's like you start seeing, like, I would see people that were like with the group go off down another street, right? And then they would catch back up with the crowd a few blocks away, which seemed really weird to me. And I'm like, oh, and then I would see they all had an extra phone in their pocket as well as the phone they had in their hand recording shit. I was talking to one dude outside the fucking Royal Farms when a car wouldn't stop and fucking hit somebody. He didn't even like try to be like, I'm a cop. Stop. They just let that motherfucker keep going. Like, I'll literally never forget it. I'm so mad I don't have that fucking clip anymore because I got it on fucking camera. Like, I was filming this shit. And then like the next day, went to literally, where everybody meets at the fucking Why Not lot on North and Charles. It's like right around the corner, literally 2 fucking blocks away from where my shop was. So we had a bunch of dudes doing graffiti, and I went over there to pass out pre-rolls for peace, remind people, hey, we want you to be emotional. Let's keep a clear head. I went and talked to my fucking, was like down kind of by North and Charles. I walked down, passed out pre-rolls, got down, saw my man who, is like a homeless dude. And, I would always like give him water or whatever else. And I was just talking to him. And we were standing there, and this fucking white girl, no older than like 21, jumped out. Was like, "Do you guys need signs?" And just passed like this little crew of like North Ave homeless hanger about, middle-aged hanger abouts, signs that said, "I'm a victim of police brutality." It's like, why did you have that sign, girl? Why did you just have 10 of those signs? She had never been a victim of police brutality, I guarantee it. I have been a victim of police brutality. These people I was with probably have, at some point or another, been fucking a victim of police brutality. This 22-year-old girl that hopped out of a fucking van, never, ever in her life, she probably cries and gets out of speeding tickets. She was kind of sexy, to be honest. We were all vexed. Anyway, I gave my man some money. He went and bought some 40s and, for the gang. Not me, because I wasn't drinking at the time. But as always, he was very thankful. That's my dude. And I walk back up. There's like a fucking news crew interviewing some little fake, phony little Antifa wannabe fuck. And they're like interviewing him. And as I'm passing by, I just cringed so fucking hard. Because the lady was like, "How does it feel being a white person at a Black Lives Matter protest?" And I like interrupted him, like, "Shut the fuck up. None of this is even about you, you fucking dumb fuck. Stop fucking talking to these fucking people, you fuck." Hopefully I ruined their shot. Hopefully I fucking scared them a little bit. Hopefully I made them think for 2 seconds about what it is they're doing and how they're fucking contributing to this bullshit. Like, I grew up in a time and in a household where we judge people based on the content of their character, not the fucking color of their skin. Now, fucking everybody judges everybody on the color of their skin. I don't even know why people feel pride about the color of their skin. That's always seemed mad weird to me. You can't control it. You have nothing to do with that. You're just born that way, and that's how you were born, and you can't do anything about it. Same for heritage. Like, I feel no pride about who my, like, where my people come from, other than like a general, like, it's cool that fucking thousands of people fucking existed all the way to me and now my kids. Like, that shit's fucking cool to me. But pride over your skin color? What? That's your identity? That's how you fucking judge others? You're a fucking idiot. I'm sorry. But this whole George Floyd shit was like mad weird. There was a lot of sketchy shit that has since been scrubbed off the internet, and I wish I had saved some of these fucking websites. But I saw one, it was like all the things that are weird about the George Floyd killing, and it was like just like all this shit about how like geeked up he was, fucking shit about shit. It's a lot. His fucking Freemason family members, Freemason tattoo, some could argue ritual sacrifice. I don't know. There's a lot of things. But the neighbors of Chauvin talking about they didn't even know he was a cop. They thought he was a real estate agent. What? What police officer have you ever met in your fucking life, or maybe even not even met, didn't have a fucking cruiser at their house? They all do that shit. They all have some fucking government vehicle that they fucking drive, dude. All of them. It's like not, like, it's weird if they didn't. So you're telling me this motherfucker had no fucking, whether it was a marked or unmarked or fucking, any whatever the fuck type of vehicle that was a police vehicle in the however long he was supposedly a police officer, and his neighbors, all of his neighbors didn't know he was a fucking cop? Shut the fuck, what the fuck? The motherfucker's in jail. You got the fucking guy that did the autopsy of Jeffrey Epstein talking about he had a fentanyl overdose, the main cause of death. I don't even know what to make of that. Although that video of him in the store, he looks awfully geeked the fuck up. And my man was just talking about he's a fucking cop. He was talking about, he's seen that shit. I forget what he called it. I'd never even heard of it, but it was like something where they get all fucking fired up and then their heart just stops. Like there's a lot of people who believe that all those protests and whatever were all fucking organic. I don't know, dude. For real. It felt like we were being fucking played. In the last protest I'd been to before that, same thing. Because it ended up just being protesters versus police and not even the fucking, or the counter-protesters versus the police and not even versus the protesters. But this Chauvin shit, and of course, here's what I found weird, right? Is it weird that he got stabbed up in prison? No. It's very, very plausible that just some random fuck was like, hey, this guy is the guy that killed George Floyd. I'm going to kill him by knifing him up 22 times, allegedly. First of all, I've also read that Chauvin is alive and well and stable. How do you knife someone up and how do you shank someone 22 times and they don't die? What the fuck? So, here's an article from AZ Central. I'm assuming that's Arizona Central, which, I don't know. It just seemed like the best article. Ex-gang member charged in Derek Chauvin stabbing at Arizona prison. Pretty straightforward thing. It seemed like a local paper for Arizona. An incarcerated former gang member. Here's where what made me want to touch on this. Incarcerated former gang member and FBI informant. Now, a lot of the other articles, I will say, from the main search, were saying a one-time FBI informant. He only was an informant one time. How many times do you need to be an informant to be connected? How easy would it be if you have, at one time, had a connection to the FBI as an informant, and they wanted you to kill this motherfucker? So, because, think about it. If it's ruled that fentanyl was the cause of death of George Floyd, and on this appeal, Chauvin's attorney is arguing that this politically charged police narrative was pressuring the fucking jurors, and And he's right. It was a lot of, I think a lot of them, if I remember correctly, don't quote me, got doxxed, and we're like, it was like a thing, dude. It was real deal juror intimidation there. And, think about how easy it would be for like an agent provocateur to fire some people up and being like, I know you saw this motherfucking video for 8 minutes. He was on his neck and couldn't breathe, crying for his mama, even though he called his girlfriend mama, And like, so FBI informant was charged Friday with attempted murder and the stabbing last week of an ex-Minneapolis police officer, Derek Chauvin, at a federal prison in Arizona. So like, it would make sense, because you think about it. If Chauvin gets released, gets fucking found not guilty on appeal, or they declare a mistrial, whatever, if for any reason this fool gets released from prison, it's chaos. Or because whether it's chaos for the people who are like fired up, like this motherfucker killed George Floyd, blah, blah, blah. Or if it's chaos because then you really see the exposing of this system and what went down and how we were all fucking played. They use this dude as a fucking patsy to further a fucking agenda of division, chaos, hatred for our fellow Americans. Those riots were fucking, they did that shit was about the destruction of our fucking country, so you think, and they don't want that. You got to remember, these people, the powers that be, they want the control, and they will stop at nothing to retain their power. They will fuck you up. Damn. John Turskak stabbed Chauvin 22 times at the Federal Correction Institution in Tucson and said he would have killed Chauvin had correctional officers not responded so quickly, federal prosecutor said. How easy would it be for a fucking federal agent to be like, hey, you snitched before, we need you to fucking do some shit, man. We need you to do it. And you'll fucking be hailed as a hero. You're already doing this for 30 years. What's fucking a murder charge? Who gives a fuck? We'll make sure there's always money on your books. Whatever. Very simple for them to do that shit. Turskak, serving a 30-year sentence for crimes committed while a member of the Mexican mafia gang, told investigators he thought about attacking Chauvin for about a month because the former officer convicted of murdering George Floyd is a high-profile inmate, prosecutors said. High-profile inmate. Again, he'd be hailed as a hero. Turskak later denied wanting to kill Chauvin, prosecutors said. What? Hold up. Turskak later denied wanting to kill Chauvin. That's a little weird. That's a little weird. You know what else? It kind of makes you think of that shit that happened. I think it was in like Denver, maybe a month ago now. It was not covered, but it was like a would-be mass shooter, and he fucking killed himself in the bathroom and wrote on the wall, allegedly, "I'm not a killer." What the fuck was that all about? So, just thinking about that, right? If he's saying he thought about it for a month, but then, later he says, nah, I didn't want to kill him. Why didn't you want to kill him? You didn't want to kill him because somebody told you to kill him? How does it work? I don't know. Could it be that? Could it be something else entirely? Maybe. Yep. Totally plausible. Always keep that in mind. And I have my own biases and whatever, right? And I'm not some teacher. You should always go and look at this shit for yourself. Search this shit out for yourself. Look for it. Read different articles. Read the same article in different publications. See how it's differently written. Think about these things. Think about what you're feeling, why you're feeling that way. What does the writer want me to feel by saying this? Why do they want me to feel that way? Am I being manipulated? What type of language are they using? What are they calling this guy? How are they referring to that guy? Turskak is accused of attacking Chauvin with an improvised knife, a.k.a. a shank, in the prison law library about 12:30 p.m. November 24th, the day after Thanksgiving. Bureau of Prisons said employees stopped the attack and performed life-saving measures as Chauvin was taken to the hospital for treatment. Turskak told FBI agents interviewing him after the assault that he attacked Chauvin on Black Friday as a symbolic connection to the Black Lives Matter movement, which garnered widespread support in the wake of Floyd's death, and the black hand symbol associated with the Mexican Mafia, prosecutors said. Not talking. Agencies remain. Hold on, we might go into another little article here. Turskak, 52, also is charged with the assault with intent to commit murder, assault with a dangerous weapon, and assault resulting in serious bodily injury. The attempted murder and assault with intent to commit murder charges are each punishable by up to 20 years in prison. The guy's 50-something. He's serving a 30-year sentence. He ain't in now. A lawyer for Turskak was not listed in court records. Turskak has represented himself from prison in numerous court matters. After the stabbing, he was moved to an adjacent federal penitentiary in Tucson, where he remained in custody on Friday, inmate records show. A message seeking comment was left with a lawyer for Chauvin. Chauvin, 47, was sent to FCI Tucson from a maximum security Minnesota State prison in August 22 to simultaneously serve a 21-year federal sentence for violating Floyd's civil rights and a 22-and-a-half-year state sentence for second-degree murder. Chauvin's lawyer, Eric Nelson, has advocated for keeping him out of the general population and away from other inmates, anticipating that he would be a target. In Minnesota, Chauvin was mainly kept in solitary, largely for his own protection, Nelson wrote in court papers last year. Floyd, who is black, died on May 25, 2020, after Chauvin, who is white, pressed a knee on his neck for 9.5 minutes on the street outside a convenience store where Floyd was suspected of trying to pass a $20 counterfeit bill. Bystander video captured Floyd's fading cries of "I can't breathe." Death touched off protests worldwide, some of which turned violent and forced a national reckoning with police brutality and racism. Yeah. So there is another article. Agencies remain tight-lipped about the stabbing of Derek Chauvin. I didn't see that was a thing until just now. You know, sometimes I don't read these articles until I'm actually in them. I just find the articles. Some of them I read, some of them I don't, and then we get into them. These are all usually things I saw on like a picture or like an Instagram post somewhere, and it's like, oh, let me check that out. Start digging into it. Federal agencies remain tight-lipped in the days following the stabbing of Derek Chauvin, the former Minneapolis police officer who was convicted of murdering George Floyd after kneeling on his neck for several minutes. Attorney for Chauvin, Greg Erickson, lambasted federal prison officials over a lack of transparency after his client was stabbed on the afternoon of the 24th at the Federal Correctional Institution of Tucson. Visitation at the prison has since been suspended indefinitely. Erickson issued a statement to the Associated Press saying he and Chauvin's family have repeatedly struggled to obtain more details about the stabbing at the medium security prison and have largely relied on media reports. As an outsider, I view this lack of communication with the attorneys and family members as completely outrageous, Erickson said to AP. It appears to be indicative of a poorly run facility and indicates how Derek's assault was allowed to happen. Yeah. Brian Evans, a spokesperson for the Office of Minnesota Attorney General, confirmed Chauvin was stabbed over the weekend and is expected to survive, but had no additional details to offer on Monday. I'm sad to hear that Derek Chauvin was a target of violence. He was duly convicted of his crimes, and like any incarcerated individual, he should be able to serve his sentence without fear of retaliation or violence, Attorney General Keith Ellison said in a statement. When it came to offering details surrounding the stabbing and refused to even identify Chauvin as the victim, merely stating an incarcerated individual was assaulted at around 12:30 on November 24th. An agency spokesperson said the victim's name and their medical status isn't being released for privacy and safety reasons. No employees were injured during the incident, the Bureau said in a statement. Responding employees initiated life-saving measures for one incarcerated individual. Emergency medical services were requested while life-saving efforts continued. Incarcerated individual was transported by EMS to a local hospital for further treatment and evaluation. Emery Nelson, a spokesperson for the Bureau of Prisons, also refused to identify any suspects or persons of interest involved in the stabbing, saying that we do not discuss whether a particular individual is the subject of allegations, investigations, or sanctions, Nelson said. However, we can inform you the Federal Bureau of Investigation was notified. Brooke Brennan, FBI spokesperson, confirmed the agency was aware of the assault but referred any additional inquiries to the Bureau of Prisons. A little back and forth action, you know how they do. Nope, not our job, you talk to this guy. Nope, not our job, you gotta talk to that guy. Nope, not our job, you gotta talk to the guy you talked to first. Remained unclear as of Monday whether Chauvin would remain at the Tucson facility or if the Bureau of Prisons would enact heightened security measures after Chauvin was discharged from the hospital. Randy Lee Giamuso, another spokesperson for the Bureau of Prisons, maintained the agency wouldn't release said information due to safety and privacy. For privacy, safety, and security reasons, don't comment on conditions, blah, blah, blah. Additionally, we do not comment on matters related to investigations. Well, this article seems to be fucking dumb. Federal prisons operate under 5 different security levels. Facilities are designated as either minimum, low, medium, high, or administrative. And facilities with different security levels that are in close proximity to each other are known as prison complexes. Yep. So, nothing really that interesting in that article. That's why I kind of breezed through it. But, this shit is the shit that's going on. And you should probably fucking take some time to look at it and wonder why. And in the meantime, start training. Obviously, if it's the apocalypse, you might as well just go outside and, lie prone, face up in your backyard until it's just time to die, until you just die. But, for any sort of potential attack perpetrated by our own government, you should want to train with, hand-to-hand type situations, with weapons. Just start training, man. Start finding ways to be self-sufficient, develop a network. Next week, by next Sunday, I will have my Patreon up and running, and I will be having, right now, 2 meetings a month. And these meetings will be for anyone, really, men, women, whomever. Really, my initial thought process in regards to this was, people that have struggled with the disease of addiction that choose to utilize cannabis, whatever else, as a part of their recovery process, lose any real support system, that they may have had in a 12-step program. So, or have to, deal with people talking shit. You could be on methadone and pharmaceuticals, whatever. You could be a fat fuck. But you just can't smoke weed. As long as you don't smoke weed. They just classify it as drugs. And so, for me, it's just whack. And, I've maintained the principles within the steps and try to live with those up front, first and foremost. I'm not perfect. I'm just a fucking human, for real. Please don't take this as me trying to be perfect. I'm not, but I strive to be better every day. And, I remember how important it was for me to have that support system. And I've started thinking that you don't have to be in recovery or have your own process, because most people just don't have this type of system in general. Most people don't understand how to apply these types of principles in their day-to-day life, or how to evaluate their own thought process, what part they play, taking personal responsibility for their own actions, finding solutions to their problems, thinking about the way that they talk to themselves and others, what language they use, and how it impacts their life and the way that they live and what they're capable of. And so I decided that I'm going to fucking start a group for that. So, the format will be one where, I will share on something, maybe have somebody else share on something instead of me, maybe a topic or whatever, share some of their story and how they carry shit, and open it up for anybody that wants to share kind of their experience on the topic or whatever, they may have a burning desire to share about. Because what's important is that we all start doing this shit, working together, develop a network, develop a team of strong, like-minded individuals and people, that are willing to put in the work to be a better human and, and to be able to stay strong through these times where we are going to need to be strong. You don't have to be hard all the time, but as my man Chad Wright says, you just got to be hard when it gets hard. And the only way that I found to do that is to make things intentionally harder on myself now, so I can be prepared to handle these things. And I have a long, lengthy amount of experience when it comes to staying clean. Almost 13 years, one day at a time, and have spent many, many years in the field, living in the same areas in which I used to use, being offered the same shit almost daily for at least the last 8 years, and even though I'm not involved in the program, I have people that I call regularly that I let know about who I am and what my pitfalls are and how I can what I need when it's time to fucking call me out and pull me up on some shit. So this stuff is all super valuable, and I think that I think you guys will get some great value in it. And obviously, I'm going to have some other stuff, some different tiers of the Patreon, and you will have different levels of access to me. But for me, it is important at this stage of the game that I focus my energy and attention on people who are really rocking with the mission. I'm getting ready to start training to take people out on the rite of passage mission on my own. I was given permission by the GOAT, Chad, and that's going to require some serious training and effort for me. And I will be looking for some tough individuals that want to be a part of my instructor cadre. So I'm mapping out some terrain for us to trek through, and we will, and we're going to start rocking it out, because that mission was so impactful for me and myself and my own self-worth and my own belief in what I can do and what I'm capable of. And, I watched 23 other individuals go through the same kind of transformation as me. And I believe in the mission. And I believe that people could greatly benefit from it, specifically those who have struggled with the disease of addiction or something close to it, So that's kind of what I got going on. And next week I'm going to drop an episode this week about kind of a little bit more about my background and my story, and dive a little deeper into some of the things I was just talking about, so that on Sunday we can rock out and get this thing started. Like I said, it'll be something that's live on my Patreon as I get that rocking and rolling, and the episodes will stay up on there. So if you miss it, you can catch up. You can listen to it, and even if you don't want to share, you can always listen to shit and hopefully draw some inspiration and find some things to improve your day-to-day life and your perspective and the way you see shit and what tools you utilize to get through this fucking thing that we call life. With that, if you want to support the show, you will be able to support via Patreon. You can go to firstform.com/Elliot, ELLIOT, ACES, ACES. Firstform.com/Elliot Aces. And you can get you the best supplements on the face of the fucking planet, in my opinion. My go-to in the day-to-day, it's like a men's stack. It's like omega-3s, multivitamin, M Factor, and adrenal restore. I take joint mobility. Got some right here. It's always in fucking within arm's reach, because when I do jiu-jitsu, man, that shit is fucking hard. It's hard on the joints. Actually, when I got injured, I hurt my knee. It was during a time where I was out of joint mobility. Now, obviously, correlation does not equal causation. Is there a correlation in the first place? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. But all I know is that I don't fucking go without it now. Formula One protein, along with the Ignition. It's a fast-acting carb with a multivitamin, little full spectrum multivitamin action in there to replenish some of the lost micronutrients from a hard workout. Yeah, those are my main ones that I use regularly. There are other ones that come into play, but they're not important. OptiGreens 50. How could I forget greens? OptiGreens and Reds. The best fucking greens powder. If you want to fucking better your gut health, absolutely imperative. You're looking to fucking better your immune system, fuck the RSV vaccine. Get you some fucking OptiGreens and OptiReds 50. Take both of them every fucking day, and you'll be alright. Alright? You can go to YouTube. Putting some shit out on YouTube. You want to watch some clips? You want to watch the podcast? Watch it there.